Hey everybody, this is Podcastforwe, a podcast for us as well as you guys, you motherfuckers. Here I'm your host, K-Dog, my co-host, Aber. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of 10/22, 2020, the fucking presidential debate. This is Hot Takes Part 2.
So mean to your people.
Huh?
You're so mean to your people.
Well, if they know what's up, they should know that angry and mean is from
Masochistic,
love.
like
Yeah,
they come back because they want to feel the
you
pain.
fucking love it when I hate on you. That's how it works. Anyways, all right, let's get down some talking points. So you came in 15 minutes before, so you don't know the beginning 15 minutes or
You mean after? But yeah, no, I didn't. I was volunteering my time to
do
hand out stuff to my students,
hmm.
so I didn't get a chance.
All right, so in the beginning half, it was the first question was uh, co- what do you
COVID.
yeah, COVID, right? So they did it again. Number 1 was COVID, but this time they rephrased it to the fight against COVID. And I, hot takes, the entire debate. What'd you think? The entire debate.
It was much more level this time. I feel like Trump kind of started to get a little anxious at the end.
At the end,
Yeah, at the end. No, I thought it was more substantive this time, but I don't think anybody's going to change their mind at this point.
yeah, that's the nature of debates, right? But let's just talk about the debates on its own. I think it was a better debate. The moderator, I said they should have somebody with more balls.
And the woman had more balls.
I was like, Jesus,
Yeah, she did good. She did really good.
after it too, and she's such a Democrat too, so it was kind of cool. She really gave it to Biden a couple times, and she stuck it to Trump. And Trump, I have to say, clear winner was Trump. I mean, like,
Well, I think her being a woman helped her because I don't think either one of them wanted to be caught speaking over a woman.
that's true.
You
Yeah,
know, I don't think that would have been a really bad look.
not just a
So
woman of color.
that's a double whammy. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
But you know what? But her tone was level throughout the whole thing. She
yeah.
never had to get louder or anything like that. At least the time, the moments that I was able to watch,
Well,
not like Chris Wallace who had to yell at him sometimes. You know, I thought he was going to jump out of his chair.
yeah. You know what though? She could have seized opportunity, and I've seen people do it where it's their moment that they didn't have to have, but they go and try to create a moment and they just get left in the wind, right? She could have done the thing where she goes, and this is why, she could have done anything. She chose not to. She'd be
Took
that
herself out of it.
I know. I was like,
Mhm.
more props to you because that was your moment to take over and she didn't do that. I have to say that's good, but also, I mean, she really could have owned that moment. She could have had her own TV show, everything, dude.
I
All she had to do was
think
angle it right.
I think the news people with more longevity are the ones that are able to kind of project that calm and that levelness, and it makes them more dependable. And they play to bigger crowds. She didn't seem to favor one or the other. Um, and she didn't. There was a couple times where I feel like she bailed Biden out of having to answer a tough question, but then she left them hanging when, like, was it Trump asked, why didn't you do that over the 8 years? And he's all, we had a Republican Congress, and it was like enough said, because I was thinking the same thing in my head the whole time. I was thinking that they couldn't really do anything because the Senate from the get go said we're going to make it our mission. There's a quote in there somewhere that
But
they
did
said we're going to make it our mission to make sure that this president does not accomplish anything.
when that happened though, didn't then he stop talking, right? And then Trump countered with, you gotta talk more. I mean, you got to.
Yeah, Trump was like, well, you got to talk to them. You got to talk to them. And I was like,
I thought that was cool. Hey, look, I noticed that in this one, they didn't adjust Biden's meds because he was like a little bit.
he
He
checked his watch.
he did. I didn't see that. Ooh,
I saw him check his watch, and I was kind of wondering, has he got somewhere to go? I'm like, does he have somewhere else? Did he plan something like right after the debate? you know, he's like, hey, I got a birthday party. I got to go to, like, right after the debate. I my real tight schedule.
Yeah, well, I must have looked away. I was playing with my dog a little. There was a couple of times, I'm not gonna lie, where the debates, my eyes started to glaze. Maybe I was 3 beers in, but I mean, like, there was a when they talked about healthcare, I really was like, ugh, I was over it. And then towards the end, I was like, ugh, this shit. But I'm gonna go in order. So the first part of the debate was COVID strong, right? And basically it was, how are you going to lead, COVID, right? That's what she says, right? And then Trump starts, attacking with like stats, like his stats, but not his stats, but they are stats. And Biden starts coming out with his stats. And what I hated about this is because they were not talking to each other, they were talking, points, because he quotes actual things, like he goes, Fauci said this, they said that millions would die, and then we did this, and COVID did that, and then Biden goes, 200,000 people are going to die because of you, and 200,000 people died because of you. And I just thought that was like low hanging fruit. And they weren't really engaging each other. They were just, Trump said, and what sucks is because Trump started first, it's, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And Biden's counter was as if he started the whole argument. Like, oh, yeah, well, this happened and this happened. But you weren't really responding to what he said. You were just talking, and both are correct. Both of them were correct. Everything they said was correct. And it was a bit of a waste at that point. I thought I was pretty upset about that.
There was some times where I was kind of hoping that one or the other would try to dismantle what the other one said in real time with real numbers,
Like a debate.
instead of just saying, well, that's not true.
Yes. Yes.
And for this other thing, and then, oh man, this is your opportunity to take what he just said and deconstruct it, take it apart bit by bit.
Like,
And even like kind of going into this, I was hoping Biden a couple times would say, Fox News, fact check this, and then say something,
mhm.
Because one, that puts them in there, and Fox News, they wouldn't be able to help but just fucking play it, right?
Mm.
And if they don't play what comes after, then it's like, well, what was the question that they asked? He called you out to fact check him on something. What is there? Because those are the people that he needs to change their minds. People that are going to vote for Biden, they're already going to vote for Biden. The people in the middle, they might be listening to both sides, but it's the people that are only watching, one network that need to start asking, is this information really in my best interest? Or is
That's
it
so fucking true. It's so fucking true. The people who are watching Fox News, the only Republican outlet. I mean, like realistically speaking, everyone's getting inundated by NBC, CNBC, TV shows, and SNL and all that. Everyone's getting inundated, but the only people really you got to win are the actual people who vote. So, and that is on Fox. So your goal would be to play to Fox, be like, hey, Fox, do this. Hey, Fox, do that. And I agree with you.
You have your voters already. You already have all the Democrats.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah. Your goal to win this thing is to win
You got to convert people.
Yeah, you got to convert people. And the only way to do that is to get them in the one outlet. You know what? It's funny because that is a double-edged sword, right? Because you already own all these other networks, you're good, right? You've gotten the message out there. Problem is they don't vote. So the people that you need to fucking empower to vote for you are Trump. And the best way, and you're right, you are correct, is to attack his points. And then show, and you can. I mean, like you can argue his points are right. You can also argue his points are wrong. And Andrew Yang did do this. Like Andrew Yang did this a bunch. He, presidential nominee, was like, "Hey, look, this isn't going to work because of this, this, and this." And he did beat for beat, and that didn't work either. So I mean, yeah, I agree.
That might be too cerebral. People just probably don't care about that.
Especially if you're watching Fox News, because some of these fucks who watch Fox News, I literally heard them say it. You really just, as a joke, but reality, it's you just have to absorb it. You don't really have to listen to it. And literally, they fucking listen to it from the time they wake up. They go to sleep listening to this shit. This is real. This is fucking real. As if I was watching CNBC and I fall asleep to SNL or whatever the fuck, right? It's all the same. So you only have Fox. So the best way to win this over is to, hey man,
You got to talk to the people on Fox.
exactly. fucking exactly. And it's not hard, really. Most of these fucking people are fucking lunatics, you know?
Just
So
call them out. Just create a soundbite that Fox would want to play, but make sure that you put something in there that if they edit it out, it'd be kind of obvious that something's missing.
yeah, you would just attack the economy of them. Really, I mean, most Republicans economy oriented or in core values. So it would be like for COVID, basically, he should talk about how he's going to open up the country and how he's going to open up the economy. But what happened in this was Trump already had the fucking gamut. He was like, this is what we have to open up the country. Biden was reiterating his rhetoric to his left bases. He was like, yeah, we're going to wear masks.
I believe it.
Yeah. And I was just like, fuck, dude. I mean, yes, you're right. That guy Eber is going to vote for you. And then because you said that, Eber's still going to vote for you. But you're not going to win that fucking Republican person, because what you want to get them is the purse and say how you're going to open up the economy. You could say just wear masks, but you have to frame it in such a way where it's the economy must open. Like, I need to feel that's what he wants. Not
Right.
ask or anything. That priority one is opening the company. And then you come up with how mask and all that bullshit. I mean, to these fucking people, like, I get it. You know, I'm there too. It's just that, you know, what the fuck? You can't have a country if everyone's dead.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, really, priority one is keeping everybody safe.
I agree.
And priority one is taking care of the economy.
Yeah. So,
that's kind of where we're at.
But like, you know, like someone in California, you don't need to work at them for economy. For this debate, he's really trying to win, you know, the fucking loons. You know, you got to say the economy. And like, there's a way to do that. Obama did that. Obama was able to do that. He was able to talk in a way where, you know, he rephrased shit the same, like, I'm still a Democrat. And then he's talking to a Republican. He would have been the one to do it.
Yeah.
It just sucks that Biden's the fucking guy, you know, that they're pushing. I mean, poor fucking guy. I really felt sorry for him in this debate. I mean, I was like, this fucking guy's so old, you know.
Yeah. He was like leaning towards the end. He was doing one of these, like,
dude, he was not on point like he was in the first debate. This one, he fucking, I felt old watching him. You know what I mean?
He stuttered a lot more in this one.
Yes, he did. I marked the time.
I'm not vilifying it. I'm not saying that his mental capacities are decreased, but I think that maybe he's just getting tired right now. He's probably exhausted.
No, I want a strong leader. That's not it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Yeah, you're right. That, not to diminish, you know, mental capacities, but the leader of the free nation should be strong. Period.
Yeah, but the president is very rarely placed in a on the spot moment. You know.
No, I hear you.
Yeah,
but
the debates, I think there's more anxiety during the debates. You're more on the spot. You need to think way more on your toes.
No,
a president usually has his cabinet and he's got his people, and they can kind of plan out a response.
Here it is. Here
within 5 minutes.
Here it is. We're gonna launch, Mr. President. We're gonna launch missiles at this village. Now, this guy Babafi, you know, he's gonna kill millions, but there are like 22 kids there. We need to murder him. So, so I have this guy, Biden, there. He has to make this fucking decision of killing this guy plus 22 kids.
Yeah, but that decision's not made on television, so the stutter's not going to come into play.
So here is a person who's kind of like, you know, like,
that's not how he is, though.
But that is how he is.
No, I mean, the stutter doesn't come from that. He can think on his toes, but it's like one of those things where the mind is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Well, I hate to say it, but there's more than just stuttering. There's also flubbing. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? So I don't want him to say, yeah, to shoot him. I mean, oh no, you know, like I don't want that. I want murder them. Or
that's why the decisions that they make, they're never that quick.
No, the president has ultimate, like, I mean, they will ask him, they will pull him in the situation room and ask him.
It's a room and there's a discussion that happens and then the thing happens.
Says yes or no. That's a thing. That's a fucking thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen like that. Like you're saying that it happens just as quick as it does on a debate stage?
No, what I'm saying is you have a guy, if under stress, extreme, like, what is more stressful than murdering somebody? Well, I mean, like, if I was a sociopath, I mean, that's pretty fucking stressful.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And
You think that this guy has the cojones to be like, hey, I'm gonna murder this guy and 22 other kids? You know what I mean? Like,
well,
that's why I don't want that job. You
well,
know?
I mean, if I had to pick which one is more likely to flub or mess up or give an incorrect order, I mean, I would pick Biden to be the more prudent one, to at least have a staff around him that he trusts, and not Trump, who kind of lone guns this thing. Even after that whole plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan, and what is it? A week later, he starts attacking her again, and
Yeah,
it's just like, dude,
I
you
know.
gotta figure out the context and listen to your people, because they're really trying to help you out here. But I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
No. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm going over my notes. That's why.
Yeah, go for it. I don't have notes, so
Yeah. So, all right. They go over like how many people were dead, that kind of bullshit, and I thought that was pretty fucking weak. I mean, talking about like, oh yeah, 200,000 people are gonna die, and then
it's hard to prove alternatives or other things that could have happened.
Mm,
We talked about this before, that it would have been bad no matter who was up there,
yeah,
but it's the question of how bad. But again, that's a that yeah that's it's really hard to argue that. It's hard to come up with an argument where you could have numbers and stuff like that. It's it's um it's mostly speculation.
yeah, it is. But then you have actual numbers where they said millions would die, and then he closes the country. He even said to the point, and this is true. I remember when he did this. Before he closed the country, it was a thing in which, he was saying he was going to close the country, and they were like, don't do that, you're xenophobic. And Biden really did say that. I remember him saying that. And Trump goes, he explains that. He says, you did say that. And then this is where we were talking about earlier, where it's kind of like it wasn't even like they were debating each other. They were just saying things. So Trump says, hey, yeah, you said I was xenophobic, and then and then Biden starts quoting something that's an actual fact. He goes, yeah, 200,000 people are going to die from here on out. But if I'm president, and I'm like, oh shit, no, you're not stopping that. I don't care if you're president or not. 200,000.
Cat's out of the bag.
But like what he said angered me because, okay, so you got this win, right? Like when Biden say Biden becomes president, right? Oh, that's not really until next year. Like in
January.
Yeah. The death's projected to December, 200,000. So when he says, when I become president, I'm going to stop that. I was like, even in your own point, that's a blatant lie. You're not going to stop that because you're not going to actually be president until like around January. So those people are going to die no matter what you do. So to tell people, the American people, hey, look, if I'm president, I can change that. You know what I mean?
That's one of those things where he's kind of playing to people that aren't really able to pay much attention to things.
I agree, but those people were already going to vote or not voting at all, so they don't really matter. So in this debate, it doesn't make sense.
I think him making that argument might turn a few people, maybe, but anybody that's already like decided, they're not going to change their minds.
I think it pushed moderates. So here I am thinking here or there, and I like the people who are actually paying attention to this.
I would say uninformed moderates might buy it.
Well,
informed moderates are going to be like, they're going to say what you're saying. Wait, you're not going to be president until January 21st.
Yeah.
So really, we're going through this second, almost like a third wave, no matter what.
Well, I mean, like that might push people to be like, hey, I'm going to vote for Trump. Fuck this guy. Or I'm not going to vote at all, which then allows.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that damaging.
No, because I mean, come on, man. Like, I mean, like you're trying to get a group of people to vote who don't want to vote or don't give a shit. They live in science. Like I'm talking doctors and nurses and shit. They're not watching this. Trust me.
Yeah, but they're gonna hear that, and they're gonna be like, yeah, well, whatever. You're not really be president in January, but I don't think they're gonna fault him. I don't think their vote is gonna hinge on that. The ones that are paying attention.
I mean,
I think there's other things. If people are paying that much attention, I think there's other things that'll swing them one way or the other.
Well, I know, but when you're playing to this point, like some people, it's weird. Okay, all right, it's a weird thing, right? Like I'll hear people, I'm going to vote for him because of this. or I'm going to vote for somebody because of that. And it can be minute in the grand scheme of things. You got like bullet points, right? 50 different things. And for some reason, people hinge on that one thing, right? They hinge on, oh, yeah, because he's racist, or oh, yeah, because he's sexist, or oh, yeah, because he's anti-China, or whatever the fuck, right? That right there, on that point alone, I think that would sway people who are moderate, that are like, this
I
guy.
think I think you feel that it insulted your intelligence.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm impartial.
yeah.
I'm impartial. That is definitive. Only because I'm deep in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like that insulted me. But you're right. I will allow the percentage of. But I mean, from a
I
point,
think for most people like that are paying attention, it's more of like a eye roll, but I don't think it's a game changer. I don't think.
okay, all right. Pushes masks. All right, so where is it at? Vaccines. All right, so Biden goes, yeah, you ain't got no plan. You know, he doesn't say it like that, but you ain't got no plan, blah, 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 blah. But actually, right before he said that, once again, talking points, Trump actually outlined his plan in those 2 minutes. He goes, oh, it's vagaries. He goes, we're gonna get the vaccine and we're gonna have the military in operation. He calls it fuck, I forgot, like fast fire, flash fire, something like that. And we're gonna have the military disperse the vaccines, whatever. It's bolstering. I've never heard of the military pushing out vaccines. That's fucking crazy. But whatever. Just to his
Okay.
point, that's what he's saying. He's saying, I'm gonna get the military to push out the vaccines. Biden goes, look, you have no plan. And he didn't even listen to what he said. What he should have did was dispute that, in the sense of, I've never heard of the military doing that. Do you really have that?
Yeah, he could have leveraged his 8 years in the White House
Yeah,
and his knowledge of military infrastructure and capability to say, look, man, I was there for 8 years. I know what they can and can't do. What you're talking about ain't gonna work. What you're gonna have to do is this.
agreed. But he doesn't have that. All he had was talking points. But I have to say, when it comes to cult leaders and Trump, I mean, he had a plan. I mean, you know, cut your nuts off or this. I mean, like, at least that was there from my on.
Here's the thing with Trump, though. Most of the plans that I heard him talk about tonight were talking about the end goal, but not really how to get there.
Of course.
And there was one where they were talking about, energy, right?
Yeah.
And he said all these things, and he goes, get this. At the end, we're gonna have the cleanest water, the cleanest air, and the most beautiful energy, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like he was gonna like mic drop something, right?
Yeah.
Like, get this. This is gonna be the way we're gonna get there. No, he just said we're gonna have the cleanest water and the purest air. And I was like, dude, what the fuck fumes is he talking about when he's talking about windmills?
Yeah. You know what?
Is there something I don't know? Am I ignorant about something here?
That's such a hot take. When he said that, I was like, I gotta look that up. I didn't look it up though. I'm sorry.
I should have looked it up too. When he said that shit, I was like, what is he talking about?
I have to say though, for him to have made that comment, it has to be not true. There has to be something to back that, because
Somebody said something. Yeah.
he couldn't have just said that out of the blue, because a lot of the talking points that he has are things that have been said in the internet.
How do you get methane from a turbine?
I don't know. I passed by turbines. It's cool.
That's not how electrons work.
Driving over here from Michigan, from California to Michigan, I saw a lot of these turbines. I thought they were the coolest fucking things on earth. I was like, yeah, those work. But he's saying they're killing birds, and
there are environmental factors, because you're different animals, plants, and stuff. They rely on the winds for pollination and blah, blah, and navigation and shit like that. Really, there isn't enough research to say that it's catastrophic.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not ideal. I think right now the most ideal is solar. And even that's a problem because of where you got to get the materials to make solar.
I'm not anti any of these. You know what? It's hardcore too, because I'm not anti this technology. I just wish, I mean, like, okay, so it's weird.
That was him just making shit up though. I couldn't understand. I'm like, why is he making shit up now?
And my thoughts are like, why didn't we just keep going with nuclear? You know, like, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to sell. But if you really want like power that is very, waste free, nuclear is like the way to go. Not nuclear 60 years ago, nuclear.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you, other than like a 60-year-old Fukushima plant, you know what I mean? Like, other plants don't really fucking blow. You would know. You know what I mean? Like, any plant that gets fucked up, you would know.
There's the potential for danger. There's
But it's not.
way,
But when you're bitching about windmills,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he could have really proposed something pretty fucking poignant. But I mean, all he did was poke holes against people trying. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, poking holes at windmills is pretty shitty.
And something that some people aren't gonna that aren't gonna like is when Joe Biden said we're gonna have to, what is it? We're gonna have to what is it? I can't think of the word. We're gonna have to move from oil to clean energy, right? And basically, Trump was like, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that? He's gonna eliminate oil. Did you hear that, Pennsylvania? Did you hear that, Texas? Did you hear that, Ohio? Did you hear that? He wants to shut down oil." Well, it's true. We eventually do need to shut down oil because it is finite.
Yeah.
There are only so many dead dinosaurs buried under the ground, and we can only get to so many of them.
Yeah.
We're gonna run out of them. It takes 200 million years, or 200,000 years. I'm sorry, 200,000 years for a dead animal to separate and become fuel. So that's not a long-term plan.
I
And
agree.
first ones to figure it out and to make it cheap are going to be the ones that can provide that shit to the planet. So I don't understand this argument against trying to change our infrastructure. And this is something Trump is big on. And I think Biden should have hit him on this. He should have said, "Look, man, you don't have an infrastructure plan. This is an infrastructure plan. We're going to change all of our shit, make it energy clean, show the world that it's possible. And then guess what? We're going to be the ones that can sell it to them."
See, the problem that's happening here is you got Biden, right? And he's just doing talking points. And what it is good that we move in a different direction from oil. I agree. That's a good thing. But the direction they take doesn't really mesh well with the companies that exist now. So the message he's trying to get across, and Biden does say this. He does say that in the, I don't know. Fuck, I didn't timestamp this, but I remember him saying it. He says that we're not trying to stop oil. We're trying to move towards that direction. So
Yes.
over time, we're going to get rid of oil. But that's the problem, though. You need to first, if you're trying to win over the people who make money, Republicans.
Yeah, they don't care about outside their lifespan.
Yeah, they
They
want
want to make money while they're alive. They want to make money, and while they're alive, there's oil in the ground.
And what the goal is to make an investment. So you got to propose an investment plan. You can't just say, "Hey, yeah, you know what's better than this? Trash." Like, or something shit like that. He should have better ideas. And like, that's the problem with the whole Democrat part.
Yeah, they need to get them to buy into it.
Well, no, they need to, not only that, they need to move away from these kind of techs. I mean, there's a lot of technology out there, and they need to lean towards nuclear or above. You know what I mean? Like actual science, like not just like, "Hey, let's use wind. Let's use solar, like that, like advance. Fucking
All of that is sustainable and fairly cheap. Easy to set up, won't really affect the environment so much.
But it's the equivalent of saying, "Hey, look, you don't really need to kill an animal. You could just eat beans your whole life," or some shit like that, right? Like,
Yeah, but there's some people that are like, "I fucking want my meat."
or a actual counter. This is better than meat. If you can have,
Yeah.
then you're good. Like the synthetic people that are making synthetic meats, they have a viable, although expensive right now, they have a viable thing. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, if you were to set, we have fusion technology, we have cold fusion. I mean, it's not a thing. I'm just.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we have mined helium off the fucking moon. Some shit. Some actual fucking technology that's better than oil, better than wind, or because what you have is the actual shit, and then you're like, here's it's like, here's antibiotics and here's supplements.
But you named the problem earlier, though. It's that the oil industries are too big.
Mhm.
And what it is they need to bring them in on this plan, and make them find a way to get them to make money off of this stuff.
Yeah, same thing with pharmaceuticals. Like pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer isn't like, first they're making supplements and they're trying to go frou science. They're trying to make cancer drugs. And they're like, fuck, we made Viagra. Holy fuck. And now we're making vaccines. So they accidentally did something, right? But they were like, hey, yeah, we're fucking vaccines. They were like, let's make this blood pressure medicine. What the fuck, Viagra? What the fuck? And then now they make vaccines. So like, I mean, like what we need is what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like the Democrats need to stop move away from wind and fuck it, go look at nuclear and then move from there and then become that party, that faction that says, hey, yeah, well, this nuclear technology works pretty good. Hey, you know what works is fusion. You know, the sun is made of fusion. So like, I'm not saying that that's a thing that could be done. I know I get Star Trekky, but I'm just saying like propose something better than what you hey, I want food. Here's vitamins. The fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's just I think wind, solar, shit, maybe even tidal. You know, all of those are good long term, and they don't generate the kind of waste that we're gonna have to deal with later.
Wind and solar aren't. It's not the thing. You know what I mean? Like it does work. Like say supplements do work, but you know,
solar collectors. There's a big ass solar collector outside of Las Vegas.
That works, maybe. I don't know, but I mean, like if you have a bacterial infection, and I mean, yeah, vitamin D and garlic, those things do work, kind of. But really, are you gonna? You got a Z pack, and you got, you know what I mean? It's bad for your gut biome, but you're gonna take a Z pack. I mean, what you need to do is come up with something better than a Z pack. That's all you need to do. And the Democratic Party has the ability to do that. They're preaching science, but they don't move forward in that direction. They move towards science that's kind of like
I think all that research is always happening. I mean, they're always looking for stuff.
But we're talking about political parties pushing something. It's not like they created fucking solar.
That's the big problem. I think federal spending on research has gone down.
I agree.
I think a lot of that was because of what happened in 2008. And we've kind of left it to private corporations, which is why shit is so expensive.
Well, no, people are getting poor. Like they notice a comparison and they're like, hey, shit, we're not getting any poor. And that's a crazy fucking thing because I think that's an education thing. You know, we're straying off. You know what? We're straying off. Let's get into
it. All right. Yeah.
Because that's a thing that bothers me. I don't think it's more of an economy thing. No matter how much money you give to a person, they're always going to be like, oh, they'll compare themselves to someone poor. And then that's a spiritual thing, but whatever. 13 minutes in, Biden flubs some more. That's when he starts flubbing like crazy. And humble brag, I survived COVID. Trump says that once, and then he says again when 15 minutes later, I survived.
I like that he shits on science, but you know that guy was listening to science when he got that COVID fucking diagnosis.
It was pretty shitty of him to be like, I survived, you know, the fuck.
Yeah, I survived. Fuck science. I didn't use science.
Did you know that he had a plan to have a town hall meeting, right? And then he would be like, I don't feel real good. I don't feel real good. And then he would tear his shirt open. It would be a Superman shirt.
Shut the hell up.
That was the whole plan. They told him, no, don't do that.
Okay.
I have to say that would have been legendary if he did. Because he really was going to go like this. I don't feel good. Super.
Get the fuck out.
That's real. That almost happened. Just saying. Oh, so Biden, he jabs at Biden again for, okay. So he goes, you can be in the basement and lock yourself away.
That's
but
when I came in. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of fucking people that can't do that. I thought that was a pretty good jab.
He put himself in a basement too during the riots.
Yeah.
An effective hit that Trump made on Biden, I think was, and it was right after that, because he says, I don't know where you can afford to hide in a basement. You must have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
When he brings up Ukraine and he brings up Burisma and he brings up his kid making $3.5 million, and Biden doesn't dismantle it.
No,
they've had time to find out where this came from, this argument or whatever. They've had time to find out where this came from and to point out and to snipe all the different parts of it if it's there. I honestly do believe his kid made a shit ton of money while he was vice president.
There's nothing he can do because...
But I don't think it was illegal.
No, it isn't. Of course not.
I don't think it was illegal. That's the problem.
If I have a fucking kid, I do actually have a kid, but I'm saying if I'm in a place of power, I'm going to hook my kid up. period. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. And it's a losing battle. I'm sorry, bro.
Now,
We can't
here's
win.
the thing: can they make the argument that it hurt our national interest to have done so? Was it selling out the U.S. that his son got a high-paying job because of his last name in some other country?
See, I don't think that it's tough.
I think if they could have made that argument, they would have.
I think if they put it out there, because what it is you put it out there for the sharks to go get it. You put blood in the water for the sharks to take.
I haven't seen any sharks go bite at it yet. There's a laptop, but the laptop might have been planted.
There's a lot of Republicans. They're eating it up.
Yeah, they're eating it up, but they're not finding anything.
What are you talking about? They found a lot of things. They actually have his, like, how he got that oil. Everything that Trump's saying isn't something that he.
Yes. He's not disputing that his kid made money in Ukraine. Biden's only response was, you know what, my son didn't do anything wrong, and he's right. So far, I mean, they haven't found anything. If something comes out and his son fucked up, then Biden's gonna have to answer for it.
The definition of wrong, when Biden says wrong, is like if he can be tried in a court of law. There's no law against getting hooked up by foreign interests. There's none. There's no law for him to get hooked up. Now, if Biden got hooked up,
right?
That
and then his son getting hooked up could be getting hooked up indirectly.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
which becomes a conflict of interest.
That's not a law.
But was there one conflict of interest you
can prove
holding to any foreign interests?
Now, you wouldn't be able to prove it, because that kind of dealing has been fucking. You think Trump's like fucking a saint, dude? His kid's probably getting hooked up to the ends of the earth.
That's that whataboutism I don't want to get into, but you're right. I think Trump calling him out is like the pot calling the kettle super black.
Well, but like the goal of Trump is to point out that I'm different from the rest, in the sense of,
I don't think he should be talking about his kid at all.
No, but well, they can't prove it though. That's the thing. He's just better at it. No, but like I'm pretty confident Eric Trump has been fucking hooked the fuck up. I'm just saying that, like, what he's doing is calling to attention, hey, we're all fucking corrupt. You know what I mean? And when you say foreign interest is a bad thing, yeah, I mean, spiritually, yeah, but if you're knocking down Biden for his kids' influence, that's a pretty good move, because
that's what I'm saying. It was a good move on Trump's part. I mean, I think that landed because Biden didn't have a good response to it, and that makes me think that there might be something else there, even though as of right now, nothing's been proven that was illegal or wrong.
Nothing will happen to Biden, period. By proxy. Even if Biden's son murdered 17 hookers in one day or something like that, nothing's gonna happen.
But the problem is like Trump is the government right now, and he hasn't been able to find anything in the last 4 years, even though he was talking about this back then.
Well, he can't.
So
he's a fucking puppet. So he can say, if he were to say the words to fucking the FBI or whoever the fuck, do this, do that, it would get leaked. That guy ain't doing shit. I mean, period. He knows what's up. He knows whose hand has his balls. You know, I mean, like, that guy ain't gonna do shit. Politicians are gonna do bad shit. That's the way it is. And
I don't think anybody in the U.S. has their hand on his balls. I think it's all.
Dude, fucking, there's nothing that he can do that's not. I'm telling you, like, what it is you're voting for what beanbag is better than the next beanbag, because that's all they fucking are. They're fucking. We're fucking trying to vote for what corporate puppet that we want, or special interest group. I'm just saying, like Trump, if he had actual power, he would get Biden, and you could tell that Biden, you know, he's got some fucking skeletons in his closet for every fucking thing that he says. So does Trump, but like no one's getting had, so it's kind of like it's a shadow game of nothing. You know, so that's why I don't give a fuck. You know, when they say Hunter Biden's that, and I don't think that's gonna solve anything. That won't do anything. That's not like, so here I'm moderate. You know, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna vote for Trump just because you called out his son. I'm really gonna look into the QAnon fucking conspiracy theory of Biden. No, I'm not. I was already not invested, you know? So it was pointless. I mean, he's just raw. That's just him just playing to his base. That's
Yep.
all it was.
But that doesn't help them. I mean, they land, but
It
I
does,
don't think that
oh, no,
moves
you're
them.
right. It doesn't help him at all. It's just playing to his base. And that's what the both of them were doing. Never once did I feel like they were attacking the moderate, except,
Again, I would go at uninformed moderates would probably hear that and be like, "Yeah, what the fuck?" You know, 'cause if they haven't been paying attention and they just hear his kid got hooked up and made a bunch of money, and that probably ended up with Joe Biden.
nah,
That sounds like something that could happen. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That I think would change people's minds. But again, I'm saying uninformed moderates. Informed moderates, like you said, they're gonna know there's way more important shit going on. I want to hear plans. I want to hear moving forward what's going on.
yeah, that's all I want to hear. And
Mhm.
that's not what I'm getting. I'm except for like Trump, he made a cockamamie plan. Biden, what he would do was, you're not doing good, you suck, and he would just keep bouncing it. I'm rubber, I'm your glue, whatever you say sticks to you. That's all he did throughout this entire debate. And he didn't come up with plans; he just came up with talking points. Trump, although his plans were kind of vapid, like they were plans. I mean, like
Well,
on paper.
his plan. They asked him, okay, so what is your plan for the 20 million people if Amy Coney Barrett becomes judge and ACA gets stricken down? What's your plan for those 20 million people? He's like, well, we've already done a lot. We struck down the individual mandate, and I'm thinking to myself, I go, then striking down the individual mandate hurt ACA, so I don't see how you help people there. And then he didn't have a plan. He said, we're going to take it out and put something else better. But that was what her question was. What is the better thing that you've been talking about for the past 5 years? And he didn't answer that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on where you would ask a question and they wouldn't really answer it.
Well, Biden did answer it. Biden did answer it. He talked about, he talked about needing the individual mandate, but he also talked about giving people was it the individual, what is it, the option,
Yeah,
the individual option,
individual.
and then yes, and then folding them into Medicaid.
Yeah, yeah. I'll talk
So I mean,
point.
that's a plan.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Expensive.
It sounded like the same jargon, and it just seemed like the same kind of like spinning the wheel kind of movement when he would talk. I was like, oh yeah. And then I don't know, from what I was hearing, it felt like we were going a direction with Trump. Meanwhile, Biden was spinning the wheels like he did for the last 8 years, only because of the context of the conversation.
The first half of what I heard, I would agree with you. The last 40 minutes to 30 minutes, I would disagree.
I would say the last 30 minutes became I got this. I'm going to just jab at you from here on out.
Yeah.
Because that's what Trump was. Yeah, the first
He was much more measured. He was much more measured and patient. He was doing he had good returns. But there was one where I was laughing. I sent you a bunch of laughing emojis where
Super Predator.
I don't remember the question. I don't remember the rest of the answer, but he said, look, Abraham Lincoln here is going to do this, this, this. And I couldn't hear anything after that. I was fucking laughing so hard. And then, but then Trump asking, where did you get Abraham Lincoln from? Biden was like, what are you talking about, dude? Do you not hear yourself talking? You compared yourself to Abraham Lincoln.
No, you know what's funny is when I heard that, I remember when this went down verbatim and it played out the way I thought it would. Trump, like, okay, so Biden did a flub of like, yeah, you're Abraham Lincoln and blah blah blah. But Trump actually literally did say he did, and he repeated himself, which I'm thinking he has a mic because I don't think he has that kind of memory. Because he was like, I didn't say that. I said, and I remember that people.
Yeah, he said, not since Abraham Lincoln has any. You're comparing yourself to Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, no,
that's why he called him that.
No. He said that, and then they said, but Abraham Lincoln, and the rebuttal to that back then was Abraham Lincoln, like helped the slaves, and then it was an argument, and that's why it's a thing in the news, is because he was like, well, okay, maybe I just said that, I just pulled a national leader, at the time, and
but he said it again though.
no, and then come to this debate, Biden goes, "You Abraham Lincoln, and you said you're Abraham Lincoln," and Trump's like, "I never said that." He like literally stopped him because at that point they were having a debate. At that point, before
they're talking to each other.
To each other, he literally said, "That's not what I said. I said this." And I thought, hey,
it's the same thing though. When he says I didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody. That means you're comparing yourself. You're saying Abraham Lincoln's here. I'm right about there too. And that was the point of the jab. He's like, man, this fucking guy. He said he keeps comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln. He must think he's as awesome as Abraham. Lincoln.
Biden was being facetious and telling him something, and Biden, I don't even think understood what was happening at that point when he was saying it. He was hearing bits and pieces of it and saying, "You said that." And then Trump actually had a firm understanding of what happened. Not only did he have a firm understanding of what Biden said, he had a firm understanding of what he said at that time, which is rare, I have to say. And
I would say he had a firm memory of what he said, but I don't think he understands what he was saying. Well, there's a difference between remembering the words that came out of your mouth and then really understanding what those words mean.
He was Trump was boasting that he did not since whatever Abraham Lincoln someone has been as badass as him as a president. And I mean, that could be debatable, right?
It's not debatable. It's not a debate.
Since Abraham Lincoln, everyone just kind of sucked, huh?
No. This is what he says. He says that not since Abraham Lincoln has anyone done anything more for the African American community
than him. Now that's a boast.
So he's saying that between him and Abraham Lincoln, there was nobody that did anything for African Americans
as much as him.
Right. He's saying that Abraham Lincoln did this much,
which is
that nobody's done that much since Trump.
Yeah. Okay. That's a boast. So be it. Whatever.
Baseless, but okay.
Why is it baseless? I don't know. Like, I mean, he can hit some stats. That's a debatable thing. That's a real thing. I mean, like, I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's a debatable thing.
Okay, you're saying that you could argue anything then. I could say my shit smells better than roses. Nobody's going to agree with that. But I could argue it. That's basically what you're saying right now.
No, what I'm saying is
I could argue it though. But what you're saying is I can argue that.
Well, he said a boast, period. Right? Yes or no?
Okay. He made a comparison. He compared himself to Abraham Lincoln.
Like there's Abraham Lincoln and then there's other presidents.
No, he's basically saying that for the African Americans, there's nobody else until him.
No, that's you. Think about it. You have Abraham Lincoln, and he says, not since Abraham Lincoln.
Has anybody else done as much for the African American community as I have?
So that doesn't mean he's Abraham Lincoln, and that doesn't mean
yeah. But the thing is, he's comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln. He's saying Abraham Lincoln did this much, I did that much too.
Well, I mean, like, fuck ever. I mean, like, what do you want? He compares himself to the best of best, right? I mean, that makes sense, right?
He's glossing over 150 years of civil rights movement.
I agree, but he's not saying he's better than Abraham Lincoln. That's my.
No. I'm not saying he's no. That's not what the words. That's not what the words mean.
No,
the words.
My contention isn't this. He is Abraham Lincoln, or he's better than Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, no. It's just that's a joke. It's a joke that Biden dropped that I think lands well. It's like the fucking guy thinks he's so awesome. He thinks he's as awesome as Abraham Lincoln.
No, he says after Abraham Lincoln, and this is a boast, and that's okay. That's what he does, and I'm cool with that. You can boast. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but you got to be ready for the return fire.
But then Biden says, this guy thinks he's Abraham Lincoln because he did this. That's not what Trump said. And that is who Trump is playing to. Trump isn't playing to the media who is saying the truth, the media who is exaggerating. Because that is an exaggeration to say he said he was. There's a difference between, hey, I'm Abraham Lincoln, or I'm better than Abraham Lincoln, to there's Abraham Lincoln, and I've done just as much.
That's what he said.
There's a difference, though. Big difference. If I said I was Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, I understand. But the thing is, but Biden is going the reason it's a joke, it's because it's like the next step of what Trump is saying, right? It's like, wow, this fucking guy keeps comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln. He must think he's Abraham Lincoln. So that's why he calls him Abraham Lincoln.
So here you got a guy who we're all saying he has dementia, and then he says, and we're all saying that the liberals they fucking over exaggerate, and they exactly did that just then. They proved
Yeah,
that.
but that's an obvious exaggeration though. That's the reason why things are funny sometimes. They're funny because they're absurd.
If Eber Nava was the vice president arguing, I would agree with you, but it's not. It's Flubby Guy. So Flubby Guy is going, you know what?
No, he's got comebacks. He's lucid.
He was not on point when he said that. Not only was it lack of confidence in saying that, it was wrong because that's not what.
No, he's just reminding people. He's like, hey man, this guy that keeps comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln is saying this, and that. The
No,
dude is just as crazy as his boasts are.
you're drinking the Kool-Aid because this is what this is.
There's no Kool-Aid to drink, man. I'm thinking the same fucking thing. I'm like, why does this guy keep comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln?
But he's not comparing himself.
Dude, when you say that you've done as much as somebody else, if I say, oh man, I've lifted as much weight as Superman,
No.
and somebody says, okay, Superman, go lift that up over there.
Your
They're calling me out on my bullshit is what they're doing.
If you would have said something like, well, if you can name a fucking president who's done more than Abraham Lincoln, you know what I mean? And then say, well, what about JFK or what about, I don't know, Nixon or what about
Roosevelt?
There you go. And then
Johnson, Civil Rights Act, 1964.
Concur, but that's not what's being said. He says, since Abraham Lincoln, and the rebuttal should then be, what about Roosevelt? What about Teddy? What about?
Well, they were separated by a few back and forths. But the thing is, it was just Biden taking the opportunity to point out, you know what, this guy said some crazy shit. Abraham Lincoln over here, says this other thing, and
What he said.
that's how he says it.
No, but that's not how he said it. He said it in he was trying to make the statement.
No, he was trying to make fun of Trump for comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln. That's it. That's just that simple.
No, that's not
like
what,
if I were to say nobody's been stronger, nobody's been as strong as me since like Superman.
no. It's funny because Superman just flashed on my TV when you said that. No, look, when the Biden was making a talking point, and when the talking point came out, he wasn't making it as a joke. He was making the talking point as if that was the written word. Trump said this, blah. And then Trump's like, I didn't say that. I said it this way. And that's the angle here is this. Biden, liberals, they exaggerate.
It was a completely different question. It wasn't about that part of civil rights. It was something else afterwards.
No, they were talking about race. That was one of the. That was,
yeah, but
healthcare was
in the middle of it. But it was he wasn't referring to the thing that Trump was referring to when he called himself Abraham Lincoln, or I'm sorry, when he compared himself to Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, no, they were talking about. Biden was talking a talking point. He was saying,
yeah, I don't remember what it is, but I know the question wasn't about that. But I think he just wanted to take a moment to just jab at him by calling him Abraham Lincoln.
But I don't think that was a jab, though. He was like saying
it is a jab. It is a jab for Trump to be able to take his record and Abraham Lincoln's record and say that these parallel each other.
But that's a subjective thing that's coming.
It's not subjective. It's objective. You can go point by point.
Objective is this. If he was saying that to achieve that, he was saying something that was wrong and flawed, and Trump countered with the actual truth. I didn't say that. I said this.
No, but the thing is,
even if he was wrong, he was saying, I didn't say that. I said this. Biden was saying a talking point, and he wasn't jabbing at him in the way that you think. He wasn't saying, oh yeah, he did say this. He was thinking that, like, I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm saying like as he was speaking, he was
Kevin, if I were to say, not since Superman has anybody been as strong as me, what am I saying about my strength?
There's so many things that are wrong. You have to use a better comparison because
no, this is the simplest one. Not since Superman has anybody lifted as much weight or been as strong as me.
Better yet to say, not since Arnold Schwarzenegger has anyone lifted as strong as me.
Okay, not since Arnold Schwarzenegger has anybody lifted.
Real.
Do these guns, do these pythons, do these baby snakes? I mean, are you going to take me seriously? No, somebody's gonna say, "Hey, Arnold," and that's the joke. somebody would call me Arnold Schwarzenegger because I'm comparing myself to somebody who I obviously don't deserve to be compared to.
Let me use your comparison. Do you lift weights?
Yes.
So there you go. You can make that comparison.
Like I said,
If-
yeah, I can make the comparison, but I should also be ready to take the flack that I'm going to get for it.
Hey, here's a fucking real stat for Trump. Black unemployment hasn't been lower since he's been president. Now, it's grown up since it's COVID, but that's a real stat. That's a stat that these fucking Republicans point out time.
Well, unemployment across the board.
No. It's not a Trump thing. That would have happened naturally.
Yeah. But
like I said, like
remember,
we're voting for beanbags. It doesn't fucking matter. This shit was gonna happen anyways.
yeah, no, that's that. It
For him to say that, but for him to say that, he has actual stats. Now, I'm not saying that he's right. I'm just not saying that because then, because it's such a broad thing to say.
I don't know what you're trying to say, Kevin. All I'm trying to say is that's a jab, making fun of him for thinking he could compare himself to Abraham.
A jab would have been this: you have done nothing for black rights ever. But then that's a jab, and then Trump could then counter. But when you say something as effective, this guy says that he's better than Abraham Lincoln. He said it right here. And then you said that. And then Trump says, oh, I didn't say that, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, no, but you did say that. You are not only are you quoting something that he did not say, you keep pushing it as if that's a point.
No, I don't know if you've ever heard anybody just take like a comparison that somebody makes and then they decide to make fun of them by calling them that.
No,
I don't know if you've never heard or been around anybody in that kind of conversation.
He goes, you said 1 + 1 is 3. And then the other guy said, no, I just said 1 + 1 is 2. No, but you said that. That's what just happened. Now, the question
in language, Kevin, when you compare yourself to somebody, it's almost like you're putting yourself on their level. Now, obviously, Trump never said, I am Abraham Lincoln. He never said that. I get it. And I don't think Biden would say that that's what he said either.
What Trump said, it's funny because what Trump said is a thing that cannot be argued because
it can be argued.
No, it can't. It can't really. I mean, like, okay, slaves.
It's not much of an argument, but
think about it. Slaves, not slaves. What the fuck is better than that? You know what I mean? Like,
okay, we're on the same page there.
Yeah, I mean, no. It's an unarguable thing. So you could argue and say, yeah, not since, because it could be like, I gave them chocolate or I did this, I did that. You can just make any kind of fucking, that is such a weird thing to say and so broad, but you can say it. And then you can.
And that's why Biden sniped at him for saying it. He's just basically, that's all it is. It's just a snipe. It's just like, okay.
He did it. He said,
like, if you were to compare yourself to Joe Rogan and I would be like, okay, Joe. You know, that would be me making fun of you for thinking that you are, that you have the same base and reach as Joe Rogan does. We're not there yet, right? But you get what I'm saying.
But those are actual numbers you can argue. But like, let's just go with you on that.
There's actual points you can argue too about the civil rights movement.
Yeah, that's not a jab though.
It's Biden making fun of him for thinking he could compare himself to somebody like Abraham Lincoln.
If I were to say I was better than Joe, I'm using your own terminology. If I said I was better than Joe Rogan,
no, that's not what Trump said.
I know. So if I said as Biden, I go, he said he was better than Joe Rogan, and then I go, I didn't say that. I said not since Joe Rogan, blah 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 blah.
No, see, no, that's if I were to call you Joe Rogan, okay, and then you were to say, wait, where did Joe Rogan come from? And I said, you compared yourself to Joe Rogan. You said, like, not since Joe Rogan has anybody spoken to so many listeners. And it's like, well, there's all these other, podcasters too. And then if I wanted to snipe at you or make fun of you for even thinking that you could compare your podcast, reach to Joe Rogan's, I would say, okay, Joe, take it easy there, Joe. You don't want to upset your 5 million listeners.
But we're talking about the debate, and that's not what happened. He didn't say that. No. Biden didn't do that.
I don't know if you're picking up the nuance of somebody calling somebody by some other name.
You're doing the thing where there's a white wall and it's art, right? And then one person says there's a cat, and another person says there's a dog. Another person says it's a white wall. You're transcribing something that's not there. For Biden. Biden didn't have any nuance. Biden didn't have any kind of snipe. He said something that was incorrect.
It wasn't incorrect.
It was because
No, Trump compares himself to Abraham Lincoln. So it's like, okay, Lincoln, you think you're so awesome.
that, but he didn't say that. Biden did not say that. Biden said, "You said blah."
That's the subtext, dude. That's the subtext.
Like
So when Biden just calls him that, he's like, okay, Abraham Lincoln.
He didn't say that. He did not say that.
He didn't say okay. Okay, all right.
I know.
What he said was he just called him Abraham Lincoln. He's all Abraham Lincoln here.
No, he didn't say that.
Biden didn't say that?
You're transcribing an emotion that didn't happen. He said,
okay, now you're gonna make me look it up.
You can go for it. After we're done, go ahead and look it up because that's not what happened. He goes, this guy said he's better than Abraham Lincoln and blah, 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 blah. And then Trump goes, he looks at him and he goes, I didn't say that shit. And then no, we can't watch that whole video. We ain't got that time. You can watch that video on your own time, but we got to get through this.
All right.
I mean, seriously, because you have to watch the video, that clip again.
All right. I'll send it to you. Let's move on.
Because Biden doesn't go.
Follow up. We'll move on. I think we were like 20 minutes into this.
All right. So
whether Trump is Lincoln debate.
So prepaid taxes. What'd you think about that?
That's the fucking stupidest shit ever. Like he's the only one that prepays his taxes. Like he's the only one that gets. And that's not the question. Was your tax liability $750 or not?
And then Trump's rebuttal was, I prepay taxes so much.
I prepay taxes. No, but that your tax liability is what were you liable for taxes, not whether or not you already had prepaid or whatever. That prepayment would already be part of your tax liability.
I don't even know what the fuck they were going on about, because if that's a thing, if you could, okay, so say you own $100 and you prepay $200 and they go, or that doesn't work because there's money left over. So you say you owe $100 and you prepaid $70 and then your taxes are $30. Then you're just like, what the fuck? Why didn't you pay all your taxes?
Well,
that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I think Biden did nail him on this one though. It wasn't. I wish it had been more. It had more pop. He called him out. He said, "Wait a minute. Okay, so right now he's saying he paid tens of millions of dollars, but 4 years ago he said that he paid almost zero and that made him smart."
Yeah, he did say that.
Which one is it?
Yeah,
either you're paying tens of millions of dollars in taxes or you're working the system and you're not paying any.
There's a world where both can be true, because. All right, I'm just saying, like, I'm a rich guy. I'm not paying. I'm not like I don't. Do you really think? Okay, do you think Trump is filling out a W-2? Like honestly,
no.
He's got a guy who's this shit. Like when they attack each other for taxes and shit, I'm like, what the fuck ever. Like, because Trump isn't a master genius here. He's gonna be like, who's good at taxes? You? All right, I'm hiring you. And then that guy figures it out. If anything, you should shit on this guy. But whatever. I mean, to think a W,
but I think Trump ultimately knows, hey man, this much money I made this year and it went to the government, or this much money I made this year and it went to the government. I think he understands the difference in what he's paying.
It would be like this. I hired the best guy. He hooked me up. The best guy, best ever, best. That's
but he's still gonna want to know how much you paid in taxes.
I don't think he fucking gives a shit.
Yeah, I think he cares.
No, he doesn't. What he cares is the bottom line of, hey, you're not paying enough taxes. He's like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. What? I thought we were legal, right? I thought we were good.
Well, the bottom line is, how much did I pay in taxes?
No, it isn't.
Or how much did I get to keep?
No. Like, honestly,
that's right, the definition of bottom line.
Here's the bottom line. How much taxes did you pay last year? Right now, go.
$14,000.
You paid $14,000. You know the actual number?
Yeah, because I fucking paid that.
Hey, be realistic. If I grabbed the person off the street and said, how much money did you owe? Be realistic. Or how much money did you pay in taxes last year?
I would hope they would know. Most of the people that I talk to know, but then again, I mean, I don't talk to.
Don't be fucking lying to me like this. You know fucking damn well if I grabbed a random fucking person off the street who does their W-2, how much money did you pay last year? How much?
Well, they might not know what their liability was.
They don't know it.
They'll probably know if they got a return. but they won't know. They won't know what they paid.
Agreed. Nobody's going to know any of that. Nothing. Okay, now you're multiply that to millions. You're not going to fucking know. That's unrealistic to think that this guy who's rich is going to pay, is going to just know.
There's a difference between tens of millions of dollars and $750.
Yeah, man. Hey,
No.
for him to have gotten that number, I have to say, chances are, if this pre-tax thing's a thing, then I mean that.
Well, it is a thing. I mean, when you get withheld federal taxes in your paycheck, you're basically prepaying your taxes because that money's not due till April 15th.
No, I agree. No. For him to pay only $700 in taxes, his tax guy is fucking on it. You know what I'm saying? So if he says something like, "Oh, I prepaid millions, hundreds of millions," that fucking guy doesn't even know. Chances are, when this shit went down with him owing taxes, he probably asked his fucking tax return guy. He was like, "What the fuck? What is this?" Because that guy doesn't know. That's like if I came at you and said, "I'm garnishing your wages because you didn't pay enough taxes." You would be blown the fuck away. Yeah. You would be like, "What the fuck is this?" No,
you're right. I don't think Trump knows the intricacies of his tax return.
Of course not.
But I do think he knows the difference between having a high tax liability and a low tax liability, because he's gonna want to make moves that's gonna lower his liability. And Michael Cohen talked about it. He said that Trump would overvalue his properties when he was applying for a loan and then undervalue it when he was applying for his taxes because he wanted a low tax liability. Again, I don't think Trump knows all of the little tiny details because he doesn't want to know, but he knows the gist of trying to get his liability down, and I think he would be interested in that bottom line number.
No, this is how it works. Get me the least amount of taxes I have to pay. Okay. All right, cool. All right.
Yeah, but then he also has to sign off to make sure that what he's doing is gonna lower his taxes.
Yeah. Do you know? Okay, so do you know how he works? All right, check it out. There's this writer. What they do is they get him. This is just a writer. Write my biography or whatever the fuck, and then they write it, right? And they go, all right, well, it's at 10,000. I'm just throwing out numbers. It's $10,000 to write this. I'm going to give you 5 because just by writing with us, you got our name, blah, 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 blah. Then the writer's like, no, I can't. That's not enough money. And you're like, cool, fuck it. You're gone. Now I go to another guy. Hey, I got because you keep the data. And you go to another guy and go, hey, look, I got this data. Hey, write this shit for free. And they're like, well, fuck, most of it's pretty much done. I'm just going to write it. That's what they fucking do. That's all they do. They trick people. So, like, here's this guy who makes millions of dollars. And he's just like, fucking, all right, cool. You know, give me the best tax return. Okay, cool. That's not good enough. There you go. Do that. And then that's all he gives a shit about. The guy isn't like a mastermind.
But he still knows the number that he's getting charged.
Oh, he does not. That's incorrect.
Get the fuck out, Kevin.
Wrong. Dude,
you're telling me he doesn't pay attention to what he has to pay?
Go to your next door neighbor and ask him how much they paid in taxes.
Well, my neighbor's not gloating that he's a big time businessman and that he's ready to run the country.
Fucking find a fucking big time gloater or whatever the fuck.
Okay, those guys are going to be able to tell me what's going on with their finances.
Most people who gloat don't know shit, even more than someone who does not gloat. I mean, right? Fucking right? Anyone who's do they know what they're talking about? Honestly, someone who's like, they're
gonna know more of the bottom line figures because they're gonna want to know, do I want to hire this fucking guy again or not?
So here I'm gonna go and get in a fight with somebody, and they go, I'm a black belt. Do you really think if you're gonna fight somebody and they go, I'm a fucking black belt, I'm a fucking black belt? That's all they fucking say. Hey, Edgar, if you're out there and you're watching this, I'm just saying, there's people out there who gloat at how good they are at something, and believe it or not, guess what? They're not. They're not good at it. They don't know. They don't know.
Okay, but I don't know where you're going with that.
Is he a fucking genius? No.
No.
Is he an idiot? No. He's the average guy. Go next door.
No, but he knows the difference between a big number and a little number. And at the end of the day, you're right. He is going to try and find the guy that can get him the littlest number. But he's going to know what those numbers are.
Put a gun to his fucking head and ask him that fucking number. He wouldn't know. He wouldn't know. He would.
I think he would. That's why he doesn't want to release his tax return.
He would. Well, I'll tell you why he doesn't want to release his tax return. That's strategy.
Because he owes people money.
No, that's strategy. Think about it. I mean, You say something, it could be taken out of context. Literally, if you were to take our podcast together after the many fucking hours that we did, which will never happen, you can take out and clip out something that you've said and then make that the world. Make that,
Yeah,
oh,
but then we can clip it out and show the other side of that too.
if
And he's the president of the United States, and he's got Fox News. He's got a whole news organization that he can use to get his message out.
one news organization out of
Matter.
20.
No, he could even go on the other ones. He could talk to Leslie Stahl. Oh wait, no, he fucking ended that.
He can go on CNBC. No, he can't. He can go on NB. No, he can't. He can
Yeah,
go
he
on
can.
CBS. No, he can't. No, he cannot.
He can selectively release parts of his tax return if he wanted to.
Liberal channels. And what are they going to do? They're going to key in on only parts that, oh, why did he spend $500 on a hammer?
Well, then they can come out and say why.
But that's
If he fucking spent $500 on a hammer.
no. You're talking. So you have bad guy 1 and bad guy 2. And then like they're like, release your taxes, bad guy 2.
That's a conversation, man. That's what a conversation is.
It isn't a conversation because they're both bad. That's the thing.
No. If you're gonna have if people are saying, "Hey, man, we think you're beholden to these other people because of all these other things," you're nice to the people that were historically not nice to, and you're mean to the people that were historically nice to. What's the deal here?
And then you're ignoring everything that Trump said regarding Biden.
No, because that's been investigated.
No, it hasn't.
And the thing is, wait, you can charge Biden, and he's had the Justice Department for a long time. He could charge Biden if he wanted to, but he hasn't.
He won't. You know why? Like they won't. They won't attack each other. That's the thing. That's not going to happen ever. That's
I honestly think that it might not happen for Trump either, and I would rather it didn't happen because
like if you look at the tax returns for Biden, or you look at the tax return for Hillary, you look at tax returns for Obama. You look at the tax.
Yeah, all of them made money hand over fist, but was any of it done in any way where now we're beholding to some foreign?
Fucking
no, I don't know, dude. I think it would have come out by now.
It won't, because it's like a parasitic relationship, especially with it. In this debate, when they talked about what are you going to do with China, none of them could come up with an answer. Do you know why?
They need China. They can't vilify China.
You can't. You can't do shit. There's nothing you can do. And so here you have a country that's literally destroyed the world. All right? No repercussions. That's the power of China. Oh shit, I hope I don't get killed. That's the power. That's the fucking power. So when you say something to the effect of like, look at my tax return, look at his tax return, you're just like finding like fuel for the fire that exists everywhere. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I'm a bad guy, but he's a bad guy too. Let's get him.
Well, I mean,
so
why hasn't Fox dug into Joe Biden's tax returns? He's released all of them.
I don't know.
There's nothing there, dude.
Maybe. Who knows?
No, there's nothing. Fox, come on. You're making the argument that if somebody releases their tax returns that people can zero in on something, do you think Fox would have zeroed in on something by now?
They did. I don't. Honestly, I watch Fox News. I don't absorb it. I'm sorry.
There's nothing there, dude. There's nothing there.
I beg to differ. You don't have 12 different channels like fucking eating up like one guy. Like CBNC or MSNBC, CBC, or CBS, fucking NBC. You got ABC. They're all fucking part CNN, whatever other CNN. They're all fucking they're all liberal. You have one channel called Fox. One.
No, you also have the Post. You have a couple of other rags too, but
you have the Washington Post, who's owned by Bezos. I mean, like you have all these other news outlets that are owned by Democrats. You only
you're saying that Fox News can't find anything in his tax returns?
I have to say,
it's a sheet of paper. There's no deep digging that you gotta do.
Matter. That's what it matters. That
no, you're making the argument that Trump is using a strategy to hide his tax returns so that he doesn't get
it's not
taken out of context.
It
hasn't happened for Biden.
I don't think it's hide. I think it's letting it go after the election, because after the election you can go and pick it apart and then it can be argued to the nth degree.
He said that 5 years ago, dude.
And he's still president.
Yeah, but the thing is, he said he was going to release him 5 years ago. He still hasn't.
He's still president.
Yeah, then that's why they can't prosecute him. And that's another argument that I'm making. He would have prosecuted Biden if he had something on him, but he's got nothing. All he can
No,
do is
I,
throw out these conspiracy theories because that's all he has.
the FBI has the ability to look at his fucking tax return, regardless. That's
Yeah, he's been suing to block him.
no,
Congress has the ability to look at him.
the
He's
fucking
been blocking him.
president of our sovereign nation has already been fucking vetted. The only reason why they haven't prosecuted is because they know that they can't make a case. In a world where OJ Simpson goes away,
He
and
has not been properly vetted
dude,
because he didn't release all of his true financial statements. And the problem is probably looking at maybe having lied. And that's why he wants to stay president, because he wants the statute of limitations for having lied to play out
nah,
so that he doesn't serve any time.
I think that's just jargon you're saying, and I'm good with that.
It's not jargon. It's a real thing, dude. There's things that they can't prosecute him for because there's a time limit on it.
I get.
And the time limit runs out during his second term.
I'm pretty confident they looked into him, just like the Patriot Act, when they can listen.
There is no who's they? Who's the they?
FBI.
They try to look into him, and Trump is saying that they were spying on him.
They could say what they want to say, but I'm pretty confident the powers that be, the FBI, the CIA, NSA, they have to look into this. No matter what you say,
They have it all. They have it all, but they can't prosecute. Fucking Mueller said as much. He said, look, because I didn't bring charges because of the long-standing guidance that we do not charge a sitting president.
No, he also said that there's nothing we would be able to try him for.
No, that's not what he said.
Yeah, that is what he said.
Find the text that says that. I'll find my text and
You-
I will print it. I will send it to you.
You can go and find flat Earth. I'm saying that.
No, I'm not trying to fucking find flat Earth. I'm telling you, it's like in the first page of his fucking breakdown of his report.
You're telling me I couldn't find a doctor that says Earth is
Not a doctor. I'm saying Robert Mueller saying this shit.
No, I'm telling you right now, Robert Mueller knew that there was nothing like, okay.
No, he could not charge him.
Look. Like the DA can't, they know what they can get away with and what they can't. So if they charge you with something that they know they can't pin you with the shadow of a doubt, they're not going to charge you. Period.
No, he said he references the longstanding guidance not to charge a sitting president. But he said in the same memorandum, he says that Congress has other ways to address what he found.
And then what's going on?
He
So
was talking about impeachment.
so what's going on?
So they impeached.
No,
nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Exactly. Nothing.
Of course, because again, I'm telling you, you're saying that he was vetted. You're saying that he was vetted.
He was.
But that the vetting didn't produce anything. I'm saying that he was vetted after he became president.
Dude, you
did reveal things that he can't be charged for.
The NSA right now, if that was a thing,
somebody came to Obama and said, "Hey man, he's got entanglements in Russia. We should look into this." And that's the shit that Obama is getting. And that's what Trump is trying to point out. He's trying to say, they tried to spy on my election. Yeah, they thought about it, but then Obama said, you know what? It'd be a bad fucking look. And they decided against it. They did not actively spy, but it was talked about.
If that president was intertwined, if suppose the government works the way it does, if he was intertwined with some fucking government, some outside government, he would have been taken down. In a world of 2000, past 2000,
I think it might happen after he's president.
World past 2001 with the Patriot Act, and when Snowden is going to Russia and that other, what is his name?
We might have to play this podcast back, Kev.
What is that guy's name? What is that guy?
Might have to play this one back in about a year.
No, we don't. He won't go to jail, dude. You're wrong.
I'm not saying jail. I'm just saying a lot of shit's gonna come out. And
nothing will come out. Nothing. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, they're gone. And why are they gone? Why are they gone? Why are they not?
Might be gone too.
No. Finish this. Why are they not here? Why is Edward Snowden not in America, supposedly? Why is Julian Assange not in America, supposedly?
So that they don't get charged here.
No, because they exposed the Patriot Act. They spy on everybody. That by they I mean the NSA, the FBI, they all spy.
Okay.
They spy on us, American citizens. Here you have a sitting president. You're telling me the fucking two guys who are fucking out of the country because they blew the whistle. They blew the whistle that we're spying on sovereign citizens. That Trump is like, you know what? I'm totally doing all this.
Might have been another reason why Obama held back and said, you know what? No, we're neck deep in all this other spying shit. Don't add to this.
Okay. You know what? I'm done arguing because, like, I mean, there's two fucking people who are hailed as terrorists to humanity and also heroes to humanity because they exposed something that really does happen when you are on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the fucking Patriot Act took a lot of personal freedoms away.
Yes, and then Trump is of that person, and if he was a person who was doing something nefarious, supposedly they would take him down. But the reality is, it doesn't matter. He's a beanbag. That's another beanbag. You're just voting for beanbags because it doesn't really fucking matter.
I don't know, dude.
But if you're okay, say they matter. Say Trump matters. Say Biden matters. This, the Patriot Act, that they would have been taken down. They're not being taken down. Why? You know why they're not being taken down? Because nothing's there. There's nothing they can do. So either government works.
We have to play this again later, dude.
What?
I think we have to play this one again in about a year because
I can guarantee nothing's gonna happen. Nothing.
I don't know. Southern District of New York, I think they're just waiting for Trump to be out of office.
I can't wait for another year. October 23rd next year, nothing will happen.
Right, it's gonna happen on the 24th.
Nothing's gonna happen because okay, I propose this: if the government really did work, they'd be gone. If there was something there, I don't even believe the government does work the way you think it does. Nothing's gonna happen. In either case, nothing's gonna happen. If not, I mean, like Snowden would be an Instagram model. He'd be in America, living in California right now. And Julian Assange, he'd be in New York, chilling like a villain. Nothing. That lady or guy who turned into a lady, nothing would have been wrong. Nothing. But they're gone. They're fucking gone. Except for the guy girl. He's around, getting persecuted and shit. But other than that, I mean, those fucking guys are out for proving that America spies on its citizens. And guess who's the citizen? You fucking here I am spying on Bob in Illinois. Why would I spy on the president? Of course I would. I mean, like,
we don't know what all secrets they found.
I mean, if it fucking to kick two fucking people out and make them pariah.
I mean, that might be another reason why Trump doesn't want to leave office yet, because he's afraid of what the next president's going to be able to look into.
There will be nothing that will happen. I mean, I don't know why people drink this Kool-Aid, I mean, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. The guy's either going to be president again or not president. I think he's going to be president again. Honestly, I think we're going to have another 4 years of Trump.
It's scary because this time last year, Hillary Clinton was up by 13%.
Yeah, I know. In the media, like
Biden's up by 10.
7 different news outlets are like, yeah, Biden's like number one. And I remember that happening for Trump. I mean,
for Clinton, yeah.
And I was just like, oh yeah, I guess they're right. And I was like, who the fuck is making this news? It's kind of like who's pushing this propaganda,
No, well, but you know what? No, they're recognizing that. You know what? I mean, everything looks confident, for Biden, but we were even more confident about Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. But they're looking at what the differences are. One thing that worries me as somebody that wants Biden to be elected is the rate of the rate of registration
for voting.
Yeah, there's it's a 2-to-1 difference between Republicans and liberals.
Of course, because Republicans actually vote.
Well, they're registering in bigger numbers. They're registering twice as much as liberals to vote
because they care.
So yeah. So I mean, I think both sides care.
No, care. Okay, my kid, he'll say shit like, "Oh yeah, I care about cleaning my clothes, but you don't do the laundry," or "I care about cleaning my room, but you don't clean your room." There's a difference between caring and actually doing, and that's the thing that I try to teach.
And I'm hoping that after the last 4 years, most people are going to do.
Because you know what the problem is? The fundamental problem is nothing really changes. For the individual. Like, I mean, yeah, if you're a person that like looks at the scope of things, the individual though is still working that minimum wage job. They're still working at Pizza Hut.
Yeah, but there's differences between whether working in that job and feeling safe outside of that job and for the future and for your kids.
I hear you.
Not feeling safe.
But really, realistically speaking, go to McDonald's. The fucking people that were working there 4 years ago are still working there.
I mean, Kevin, you talk about being in the machine, right? That right now there's this big old machine, and there's just people that are just part of that machine.
Yes.
But usually, I mean, for if the machine is working well, the cogs aren't worried about their place in it. They're content enough. Right now, everybody's kind of worried about their safety within this system, and so that's a failure of the system to reassure the base of it that everything's going to be okay. Keep doing what you're doing down there to support the people up here. That's a flaw. You don't want your base to start doubting the overall system. You want them to be thinking everything's going to be okay. And for a long time, that's the way it is. Yeah, we didn't realize how fucking rich the politicians were getting or how rich the fucking companies were because we were okay. We knew, we're going to be okay. We're not worried about terrorism. We're not worried about poverty. We're not worried about this or that. We're not worried about fucking dying of coughing to death. We're not worried about that shit. Now everybody's fucking worried about that shit.
I agree with you. That's the X factor, right? I mean, I agree. Before COVID, that's really, let's be real. That's the one thing that changed everything. Other than that, I think everything was normal.
I think this would have been a much tighter race.
Oh yeah.
I think this shit would have been down to the wire or in Trump's favor.
Yeah.
Because impeachment didn't land the way that Democrats wanted.
Yeah.
Outside of that, there was really nothing else going on. Maybe his taxes, but I really don't think that would have landed either. People didn't give a shit in 2016. People ain't going to give a shit about it right now.
It's COVID. Yeah.
It's COVID. I think that exposed a lot of the flaws in his leadership style.
I agree.
Vilifying the other side for wanting to follow scientific principles.
I think it all breaks down to, like, the people are going to vote. The Democrats are going to vote in the way they are, and more Republicans are going to vote Republican. That's what the way they're going to do. And so it gets to a point where, like, are there more Republicans poor than Democrats? Really, honestly, because I don't think that. So if you're poor, right, and you're struggling, you're not going to care about voting. You're just not. You're worried about other problems,
And that's the same problem as like the oil industry, like the guys at the top. They only care about right now and until they retire. Once they retire, they cash out. They cash in their chips, they cash out, they're done.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about whether or not the next CEO is going to be able to keep the company solvent. And that's kind of the same thing as a person, working that minimum wage job or working in that job in an industry that will not be around in 15 years. They got it. They have to understand this. In 15 years, coal mining, it's not going to be a thing. It can't be a thing. You're going to fucking mine up everything that you can because there's so many fucking people so energy hungry. You got to pull it out at a rate higher than any point in human history. But they're not worried about 15 years from now. They're worried about right now. I know how to mine coal. I don't have a job. I want a job to mine coal right fucking now so I can feed my kids right fucking now. We'll worry about 15 years and 15 years. But we got to think longer than that. We have to.
I agree. But as of now, for this election, I would say that, I don't know, man. You pushing more poor people, and they're like, fuck, I don't know, like, Democrats the way to go.
Yeah, no, Trump wants to keep immigrants out. That means that jobs are going to stay here with me.
And open up more. Basically, that was the message through this debate. He was like, I'm going to open it up more. And Biden was the same thing, but the way he came about it, he was preaching more of the jargon of, masks, this, although, he's fucking right, but he didn't exude.
He's right, but people are tired of hearing it.
Yeah, they want to hear open up. That's all they want to fucking hear. That's all they want to hear is how you're going to open up.
Yep.
And how, because people are fucking poor. They need money. They don't need to hear minimum wage.
Biden shouldn't even use the word mask. You're right. He should be hitting. This is how we're going to open.
Exactly.
And the subtext is, we're still going to be doing social distancing and masks and shit like that. But how are we going to get everybody back to work?
Yeah. Yeah. But he did explain that. It's just that dude, like, how people, like, when they watch these fucking debates, some people are just hearing the bits and pieces, and he made more of a push for masks and safety, which is right. It's he didn't explain how to open up more, even though he did.
What
It's
does everybody remember from the last debate?
them fucking bitching and moaning at each other.
That's it.
That's it.
What does anybody remember from the vice presidential debate?
Presidential.
The vice presidential debate.
Yeah, no, it was very presidential, but there was a fly. So,
The fucking fly.
fucking fly. Well, like that's all that people are gonna hear from Biden though, is like same shit, different day.
Yeah.
At least Trump's like trying to break shit open or end the world. And I mean, at a point where you're fucking your choice is COVID or fucking like living in the streets.
This is like one of those Japanese anime where, the bad guy seems like a good guy, but he just wants to create the most terrible thing so that there's never war again.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. If
Cliche thing. But no, he's not. I don't think Trump's doing it on purpose. I think this is one of those moments where, wow, this is pretty fucking bad. We don't want him to get this bad again. Let's not waste our votes.
I felt that Trump was doing, I don't know, he instilled the right thing. Biden felt like more the same shit, different day kind of guy and didn't have a clue. There was a couple times where he just looked like he didn't have a clue what to do. And but that was the general vibe I had from Biden.
Yeah, but random radical has never really worked. It's worked to get elected. It's what got Bush elected in 2000. Him just being like, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
financially, I had good years with Bush as opposed to Obama. Financially.
Think about how old you were, and you were in the service at that time.
And then past that, I was a military contractor. I just made more money when Bush was in air.
That was the height of deregulation, and I'll admit it continued with Clinton. Clinton fucking hurt it the most. I think Clinton really is the one that opened up the banks to make themselves too big to fail.
Yeah.
But the shit
when
hit in
Obama
2008.
came to power, that's when I started noticing a dip.
Everybody did. That's the recession. That was everybody everywhere.
I guess, and then like when Trump came to power, we started making more money.
Well, because we were already trending up.
That's why
we're already trending up.
What I'm saying is they're beanbags because it doesn't fucking matter. I actually argued with somebody today about that. I was like, look, if they're quoting a stat that's true. They were like, the unemployment went up and then went down during COVID and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm pretty sure if you voted for a beanbag, it would have been the same thing because the way that the economy works is just up and down.
You know what? No, okay. So I like this idea of this K, shaped curve. There's also K-shaped spending. Per capita spending for students has gone down since the beginning of Bush's presidency because of things like No Child Left Behind. So you didn't really notice it, but it's been happening really slowly since about 2000. When Clinton left, we had a budget surplus, and then Bush came in and he started spending all of that. We were in like a mini recession. I don't know if you remember. He did a stimulus thing where everybody got like $600 checks.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so he did that because there was something on the horizon. That thing was 2008. Then 2008 hits, and it's like, well, that ain't gonna work. And Bush, here's what separates Bush from Trump. Bush listened to the right people at the right moment when he needed to the most, and got us out of that shit. Everybody kind of puts it on Obama. Really didn't get us out of it. It was Bush listening to the people around him and being able to really Hank Paulson, being able to appoint Hank Paulson as Treasury Secretary and letting Hank Paulson do his thing to kind of get the ball rolling and save the economy. Well, save our financial system really. So that was a win for leadership. That was somebody that really did give a shit about, most if not all of the country. Trump is only looking out for number one here.
I think the strategy is a strategy. I think what Bush did was wrong. He shouldn't give a stimulus. In fact, he should have fucking just let that shit fall.
The stimulus probably shouldn't have happened, but it was a misunderstanding of what the problem was.
He should have let that bubble. And like, you know what, Trump and not Trump.
You need to. Okay, wait. You need to study that shit before somebody that knows that shit calls you out on that shit.
I don't need to. Call me out. I'll tell you this. Obama should have let that bubble snap. People should have went out of business. We should have bailed out the fucking incumbent banks. And you should have let that thing break down. Period.
All banks would have gone under, dude. FDIC, all banks that are federally insured would have gone under.
Good.
A run on every bank. No bank holds enough money to pay out all of its accounts.
It's okay. It would have been bad at first, but then it would have been better towards the end.
No, and then the wave would have hit us here first, then maybe the world. But in that time, you have fucking chaos, man.
When you have a bubble and you let that shit not pop, and you just
way too simple.
It's gonna grow.
It's way more nuanced than that.
No.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh, like right now. Oh wait, now. Back at that time, the Great Short or whatever, you had houses and people like lost their houses and what have you. Okay. That was bad. You know what was worse than that we've built up to this point is buildings that have commercial properties, and those are going to pop. Once those start popping, now you have a situation where people can't have jobs. Now,
the houses were the tip of the iceberg. The problem was
houses were the tip of the iceberg.
Credit was drying up. So none of the banks could loan because all of them were going into default. All of those bad home loans made the banks have to default on their insurance, and the insurance companies that were backing the banks were having to pay out all this shit, and when they couldn't, they were going to have to go into bankruptcy, shut down. But then that puts into doubt all of the other insurance companies too. So then everyone's gonna be like, well, if the insurance company's not gonna be able to support my bank, so my money's not safe in the bank, I'm gonna take all my money out of the bank. Now the banks can't lend.
Yes.
That freezes credit, and now nothing happens.
Let it. And then we would have
can't do that. Dude.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You have a credit card?
It would have sucked then.
Do you have a credit card?
I have several.
Have you ever had to dip into those for anything?
A lot. What are you talking about?
Okay, then fuck, those credit cards are gone, dude. After 2008, your plan is credit cards are gone.
That's good. And then we would have had to figure out other ways of doing it. And then the thing is,
it's called credit. That's the only thing that grows an economy.
No. We should have did.
If somebody's going to start a business,
you know what?
Only rich people are going to be able to start businesses then.
No. What we did was stave off depression for then. And then what we did was create a bigger bubble for later to pop. And what's going to happen now in the future?
You're right. You're not wrong. You're right. We haven't solved the problem.
COVID kind of, I don't know, man, that changed everything. But say COVID didn't exist. What was going to happen next, because we didn't let the bubble pop the way it should have, we're going to have businesses who can't afford their houses, not houses, but their properties. They're going to not be able to afford it. You won't have a job.
We have to re-regulate. That shit worked for 2 decades.
No,
it took out the regulations.
No, it did not work from the beginning. What banks were doing are like, hey, yeah, if I bake this shit into this bank loan, then no one's going to know. And then it just became too complicated. They would bake a D-rated loan to an A-rated loan and bake them together and sell it to another. I mean, the system was corrupt. So
that's because of deregulation. No, they were allowed to do that because basically the locks were taken off. Again, in the Clinton years, towards the end of the Clinton years, the things that kept them from doing those things were gone. So they were able to. You're talking about credit default swaps.
Yeah,
and those shits were not allowed before, and the regulators they didn't have any power to stop it from happening because they were basically their balls were snipped. So again, we have to re-regulate because letting the bubble pop is going to put everybody in a fucking hole.
Those same people are still working.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you that the problem hasn't been fixed, but the fix is not to let everybody fall into that's the same thing as saying like let everybody go out and get sick and get COVID, and then the people that are going to die are going to die, and the people that are going to live are going to live.
That's one strategy.
That is a strategy, but if it can be avoided, if we can do it in a way to where, we can have a vaccine and minimize the number of deaths, then let's do that. That's the same thing with regulation. If we can regulate things in a way to where we don't have to hit a bubble.
We should have let that shit happen. People should have been on the streets. We would have grown. We would have came back stronger as an American people. and it would have been one of our greatest times. It would have been,
That's a big gamble, dude. No,
oh shit, we did it in the fucking 20s.
it's not. It's similar but very different.
Similar, but it's the same. We
No, globalization now, people are able to move faster.
Now I
You
have
know,
to say,
this was a fast moving train.
you underestimate the power of the American people. And you know what? I think they themselves have underestimated themselves. And because of that, we're coming to an apocalypse that we have invented for ourselves. I don't know, man. COVID really did change a lot of my theories, only because with COVID, it's like exotic matter, dude. I have no fucking clue. Because like people are dying, people are living,
You've
fucking
never been here before, yeah.
dude. I would have a strong, like I had a very firm understanding of what to say when it comes to economy, but then when COVID happened, I was like, what the fuck? I don't know, man, dude. Because like people could grow arms out of their fucking backs for all I know. The virus could mutate. Yeah, I don't fucking know. So COVID changed everything. It was a super game changer. But before before COVID, we are creating a bubble like no
Yeah.
and it's big and it's gonna pop, and people are just gonna not have jobs because the place that they can work, the company is like, I can't afford to pay you. But then you get COVID, so I mean, like, that's, I don't know what the fuck to call that, because before COVID, I'm not gonna be able to hire you. Now I have COVID, I don't exist. I don't even know what to call this. You know what I mean? So I don't.
No, you're right about that. We did not fix the problem that caused 2008.
We made it worse.
And we made it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes you got to sew a person, but then people are like, nah, just put a Band-Aid on it. You're like, nah, it'd be worse if we don't sew it. You're like, no, I just want a Band-Aid. It'll cost more if you sew it. I have people, no shit, it's like $900 to sew you, $20 to Band-Aid you. They'll choose the Band-Aid because it's cheaper. Yes, it's cheaper now, but later it's going to be way worse for you. No, I want it now. I want this. And that's how people think. They don't think about the fucking ramifications of now. I'm going to live on the street, but a year from now, I won't be so bad.
Well, I mean, we need to sew this thing up. I think what the argument should be, your argument is to let it go gangrene and fall off.
No, I didn't say that. I said, well, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe to save the body, you have to do that. You have to cut off the arm for the whole body to live.
Let it gangrene? And no, you're saying to let the bubble pop is to let this thing infect the entire body.
It just depends on where you think we are.
The entire body, dude.
It depends on where you think we are in the infection. Here I got a group of people who are in power, who are doing things that are so fucking complicated that the average person's not going to understand.
Or if our financial system goes, a dollar bill is not going to be worth anything anymore. Your blood is going to be worth something. Your clothes is going to be worth something, but money goes out the fucking window.
I believe in free capitalism, and it would work. I think
we'd be in a barter system, man. We would not have money.
I'm good with that.
But
you're thinking a doomsday scenario. I'm thinking it would have been.
That is the doomsday scenario.
I think it would have been. People would have lost their jobs or houses more than normal then, and then they would have suffered, and then it came back stronger. That's what my theory is. There's no way to prove it. There isn't, right? Because we have to go back in time and create.
No, you could listen to the economic scientists.
I listen to economic scientists too. This isn't shit I came up with. This is from economists.
No, and I've heard that argument too. Let it happen, and then free market, blah blah blah.
A lot of economists say this, and I'm with that because I'm a parent. I just know that sometimes the hardest fucking thing is the thing you should do. That's where I come from. I understand that as I live life from now into my past, I notice that doing the hardest fucking thing is usually the right fucking thing. It's just,
but letting the bubble pop is too much of a black and white solution. I think that, again, nuance.
We did it the other way. It didn't work. So my theory is proven.
We kicked the can down the road is what we did.
That's what we did. But my theory hasn't been proven though, because we didn't do it.
I think the possibility from that plan failing is a lot scarier than us just trying to figure it out.
Of course it is. Doing something that's never been done before. Well, we have done in the 20s, but I'm just saying because it's a new time, doing something new is scary. like moving to another state, or just changing careers, or I mean, like there's things in your life you can see that is a terrifying prospect because you can only think of the negatives. But then if you put yourself in that situation and put your back against the ropes, you'd be surprised what you could punch out of. I mean,
No, you have to look at it, the bigger negative versus the smaller negative. Which one has an outcome that's possible that you don't even want to think about, and which one has an outcome that's possible that, okay, well, that's bad, but it's not as bad as this other thing.
it's a tough go. I have more faith in human beings, America especially, to come out on the other end. I just have more
I
faith.
I don't doubt that the world would keep going and that humanity would survive, but I don't think the US would come out.
I'm talking about America, and I think America could have survived it. I just do. I think
No,
that when put to the stones, they get it done. Not
no.
not to the
Because
not,
because China has an insulated economy, so does Russia. And so they would not have been hit as hard. They would have been hit hard, but not as hard as us
I think we would have figured it out. I really do.
with bombs.
Yes, exactly. We would have started a war. If like worst case scenario, would have started a war, but we would have figured it out.
Yeah, that's my thing too. I think if we're ever in that situation, then we just fucking go to war and take, But that turns us into fucking Pan Am
Really
and
do think
the Empire.
Americans could figure it out. Like if you like, I mean, there's always like the pussyfoot thing of like, let's do this, let's do that, and maybe this will happen. This is bad. No,
Kevin, hey, that's a really good idea for a comic book or a story.
what
The
pussy?
U.S. going through a fucking economic crisis and just letting it pop,
Yeah, we did that.
and
It's
then
called
being put.
War,
What movie is that?
Iraq War, Desert Shield, and then Desert Storm.
No, it's not the same. That's not an economic.
You fucking
No,
attacked by.
there was economic reasons. I'm not saying that there wasn't. No, but I'm saying I'm saying the United States basically being put in a corner where it has to go to war and become some evil fucking empire
We
to
did.
survive.
We fucking did do that. The thing is, we're living it.
Kind of, but I'm saying more overt.
Now it is overt. The fuck are you talking about? The thing is that the media has really created a situation where we think we're the good guys because we have electric cars and cell phones. But right now we're all about slavery. And that's a fucking thing I keep throwing out. Like
There's that too. I get that point,
we
but
literally are enslaving people to do.
but I'm saying taking that, but taking that to.
I'll throw this at you. If Africa were to unite and become an actually, a United States of Africa, we would go to war with them because we need them to be where they're at, disassociated, and we need to take their rare earths. That's a real fucking thing. And for some reason, we think we're the good guys. I think.
Well, I think the thing is, places like Russia are trying to do that to the U.S., trying to make us dissociated, trying to
Of course,
divide us,
I would if I was Russia. Fuck yeah,
trying to break the
because
states
we're doing
into
it too.
states.
No, because we're top dog. We have better fucking secret agents and shit. We destabilize countries so we could take their shit. And we've been doing it for years. As long as you have a cell phone that's worth thousands of dollars, say subsidies are aside, your cell phone should cost a metric fuck.
Tens of thousands of dollars, yeah, if not more.
But it isn't, because you know why? We're America and we fucking took over the fucking world. And that's the thing. And that's why we're fucking guilty about what we do and shit like that. As long as I have a fucking cell phone and I go to Burger King, for $1 for a burger and all that shit. I mean, that's what makes America great, But in reality, to achieve that, we're the villains. And that's that. And we all know that to some subconscious view. It's a hard thing to say.
I don't know if I'd say villains, but we're definitely taking advantage.
100 years from
low wages and different was it workers' rights?
100 years from now, we will be looked at as we look at slavery, with Christopher Columbus, when he's bashing babies and the rocks and shit. That's how we will view people 100 years from now. They're like those fucking arrogant pricks with their cell phones and shit, while they outsource their slavery while you're cutting Nuba's hands off so he can fucking mine more cobalt ore. You know what I mean? Like, there's terminologies I'm using right fucking now that most people are like, do question mark. And I'm cool with it. I'm good with that. Murder away. That's just the way it is. But there are people right now, 350 million people, don't give a fuck. and that is where we're at. And the thing is, we know it. That's the thing. You can't have a cell phone that has all the information that it has ever been. You shouldn't have that. You should not have that. I mean, you should, but I
Yeah.
mean, but there's like 100 million fucking peasants that fucking have that power too. You know what I mean? Like, so we all know from some instinct that we are bad guys. We are the bad guys. We just don't know it though, because we don't.
No, we take advantage when we can. I mean, it's just, hey, what? I mean, it was like our talk about, getting, what was it, $600 a week
Yes.
versus going back to work. It
Yes.
was just like, well, I mean, I think any reasonable person is going to say, if I'm going to get paid more money to stay home, I'm going to stay home.
Yeah. Like, why would I want? There are
Human nature.
cell phones right now you can get. They're called conflict-free cell phones. They only go 3G, I think, but they're not made from mineral earths. They're made from recycled plastics and shit like that. You can get one of those phones. I'm not gonna give up 5G. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
In like my laptop to my TV, everything we own as people come from slavery, and just like 200 years ago when people were making cotton gins and shit like that, people were profiting off of that, and we now are looking at those people. You've profited off of slavery, how dare you? Reparations. That's what we're saying right now. Reparations. 100 years from now, we're gonna fuck it when the world becomes global, and then we're like mining asteroids and shit. We're gonna look back to us primitives, and they're gonna see this fucking podcast maybe, and they're gonna know that I was aware, or you're aware of the fact that we're cool with slavery. I mean, like, I hate to say it, it just is.
economic slavery. Yeah, there's,
It
there's,
is.
there's a case to be made. Yeah, I mean, we're taking advantage of other people that are just willing to work for dirt shit, almost nothing.
Yeah, but like if you talk to somebody and they watch Django Unchained, right, and they got the way they're hurting these fucking slaves to make whatever the fuck they're making, right, and people are profiting off of that, and then you would then, from your time point of view, 2020, and look at those pieces of shit, let that happen, but they weren't part of it. They just profited from it,
Well, I think there is a difference, though. I mean,
right now.
You still have, back then, free will was being taken away. Here, they're being put in a corner where, yeah, they have free will, but it's almost like free will to either build my phone for super cheap or die of starvation in the street.
Beast
So
Nation. There's a movie on Netflix called Beast of Nations where they're like creating child soldiers, right? And that's a real thing, creating
yeah,
child soldiers to occupy land and fucking mine.
so they could go and mine it and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, like,
That too.
you're fucking making children kill people, and you're cutting their hands off for fucking doing shit if they don't fucking go to your cause. I mean, that is still horrific. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I can, just now looking at that, 100 years from now, they're gonna look at us and they're gonna judge us accordingly. I hope that we've evolved to the point where we realize, don't judge in the lens of time. You know what I mean? Those people, Columbus and all them, they're not bad guys. They're just in that time. But I hope 100 years from now, we can create a situation where we don't judge us. But that's not what we do. Right now, that's not what we do. Right now,
Well, if we're able to judge ourselves that way in the future, that if we're able to look back and say, man, that shit was wrong, then that probably means in the future we figured out a way to get shit done without having to do that.
no, because we've created probably another situation where there's other slavery. If we haven't figured out that judging people from a past is wrong, then we will never figure it out, because we're always have a comparison all the time.
It's gonna be, man, I'm glad we're still not using, those conflict child soldiers in Africa. It's a
Now,
good thing we came up with these Neo Sapiens
yeah,
from fucking Exo Squad.
I mean, we'll never figure it out. I don't know. We're always going to have fucking slaves. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Or maybe we should redefine. I don't know. That's why I like Star Trek, because they figured it out. They don't have an economy. They do things to be better than they were yesterday. That kind of bullshit. I know Star Trek now is kind of getting away from that. They're just kind of like,
Yeah, no, they're trying to be cool. No, you know what I liked about First Contact? Damn, I might put that on right now. One, the Borg fight at the beginning, it's fucking awesome. The
Of course.
Defiant comes in, they play the Klingon music because Worf is on board.
Yeah.
I dig that shit so much. No, but what I like about that movie is you get to see back in time that transition and a
Oh,
little bit of the history, and it goes to your bursting the bubble theory. This idea that this calamity had to befall the entire fucking planet before they could start piecing things together, from the ashes,
yeah.
and create something, that united everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it seems to be Americans or people in general really don't move forward unless there's a calamity. And I would have thought COVID would have been that thing. It isn't. So that's where we're at. We need something that can devastate a population, and we learned.
Well, the thing is, wait, here's the thing. I think COVID could have been,
I agree.
but I I think the leadership did not take advantage of the opportunity to use
Yeah.
it that way.
It should.
Instead of saying, like, okay, guys, let's bring this together. Let's wear a mask, the social distance. We're gonna do this 15 days to slow the spread. What? I'm sorry. I know I said 15. It's gonna be 45, but I know we can do this. And instead of starting to say, oh shit, I got an election coming up, and most of my base wants to go back to work, so let's start turning this into a red versus blue thing,
Hmm.
and let's start dividing people up between the mask wearers and the non-mask wearers. That then pushing everybody apart. So really, instead of COVID being something that could bring people together, it became something that fucking tore people apart.
You know what though? I think that that's more of a because Bush did it when those planes.
9/11,
Yeah.
and
So
we were all waving flags and shit. And then what happened? Then he took that goodwill, and then he said, "Okay, let's go to Iraq." And that's where people started saying, "Whoa, what the fuck does one have to do with the other?"
yeah, I agree. Well, no, they
And
didn't.
all of a sudden, it was like, "Hey, you don't like it? Fucking love it or leave it. You're unpatriotic. You're defending terrorists. You're defending Saddam." And it was like, "Wait a minute, that's not what we're saying. We're saying, this thing that hit us on 9/11 didn't come from there,
Yeah.
or the evidence is really soft." And we go in, and it turns out we were lied to.
Yes. It's going to take an asteroid impact. I really do think. I thought the virus would be the thing, but it has to be instant. You need to instantly lose a lot of people. I think that's what it is. I think that's the key. If you lose, okay, not Pearl Harbor.
I think it could be economic, but it has to happen to everybody at the same time.
Exactly. It has to be.
2008 would have devastated us, but China and Russia have enough resources to fucking say,
Well,
we're gonna weather it.
America.
It would have been war. It would have been war.
If we lost like 10 million jobs, right? Like 10 million people lost their jobs and they're on or something. I don't know. I do think that it has to be immediate and right away. And
10
that's
million people did lose their jobs.
yeah, you're right. You need exactly I think an asteroid impact.
But it needs to be worldwide. It has to be worldwide.
You take it now. I think if you take out Florida, America will fucking it's like if an asteroid hit America or a nuclear bomb, like a dirty bomb from Beirut or whatever, or fucking like they destroy Texas or some shit like that. Fucking Jesus.
That would unify everybody in the U.S. against them.
Yeah, I'm saying that like
But if you want to go to Star Trek, we need something to happen in the world.
an asteroid.
I think a global economic.
Yeah. An asteroid. No, fucking think about it. An asteroid fucking hits America or whatever, it kills millions, and then everyone's gonna be like, we need to get the fucking Space Force going.
Or global climate crisis.
Yeah,
that'll affect everybody.
That's too slow, though. I've been hearing about the fucking end of the world since the 90s. You know what I mean? Like,
oh well, everybody's always been talking about the end of the world.
But I'm, you know what I mean? Like the fucking ice caps melting. That's why you had Waterworld. I mean, like,
well, I mean, just because it didn't happen overnight.
That's what I'm saying. You can't have it slow and steady. It has to be immediate. Like, boom.
If you want to argue for the masses, then yeah, okay. But
yeah. If a tidal wave hits Florida and Florida is gone, dude, yes, America will unite. Yeah, dude. Yes, dude. 20 million dead. Done.
Yeah, but again, it's got to be something global, I think.
Oh, I'm pretty confident. Fucking, if I'm Russia and 20 million people die because of fucking water, I'd be like, holy shit, are we surrounded by water? Like, I mean, fuck, we need to figure this shit out now, dude. Because like when 9/11 happened, only 3,000 people died, and other people died over time. But I mean, a lot of people died over time, but no one gave a fuck about those people. 3,000 people died, and everyone was like, we need to fucking unite. England was like, we need to unite. I remember there was concerts. Fucking Russia was into it too. Russia was like, yo, what the fuck? You know, everybody was united, and that was only 3,000 people. You get 20 million people dead. Instant game over. This isn't good. I should be saying this. This is gonna go on fucking live TV. They could be thinking I'm some kind of radicalist. Look, I'm
They're gonna think you're Ozymandias from Watchmen.
dude. I'm not that guy. No,
Huh?
he was right. Ozymandias
He
was
was right.
He was right.
He was right.
When united, you know, they were all trying to fight some octopus that doesn't exist. You know. So there you go. Hey, we gotta end this. I gotta go. This is fucking 2 hours of fucking. I can't believe we did 2 hours. I wanted to do 30 minutes. All right. Anyways, if you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. Enjoy the podcast. We're on Spotify, YouTube, all that shit. Leave comments and we will respond in kind. As always, be the better person than you were yesterday and always stay frosty. Late.